And so we're about to begin. I think we're going to stay in color tonight and not black and white. Testing, just to make sure we're live. Once I know that we're live, we can get started. Come on. Let's do this every time because I never know if I'm live or not. So annoying. Come on, YouTube, sort yourself out. Yeah, we're live. So we can get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. You know who I am, Ingram Jones. Welcome to another live show of Bayloric Worldwide Boxing Channel. There's so much to talk about. My gosh, there's so many things to talk about. Unbelievable. I don't think I've known a week that I've been in boxing that has got so much to talk about. I mean, even as we speak at this second in time, some of the people that will probably be watching this is now over watching Tyson Fury, Hughie Fury, you know, in preparation on the Periscope. And, you know, great. And it's good to see Tyson looking in good shape, in good spirits. The whole camp looks good. And you can see they're putting the work in. So it's good to see. And it's good to see Team Fury are putting the work in, which, you know, I don't expect them not to do. And good. It's good to see Tyson. He seems to have that. Well, he's always had it about him, the edge about him. And I think that's the sort of edge you need to be in world heavyweight boxing if you're going to do anything successful. You look good. You look sharp already. He obviously lost a lot of that excess weight, and hand speed looked good. His footwork looked nice. So it's good to see Fury, and he's talking about how the odds have gone down for him, and they will do. I'm sure they will. Fight night, and he gets off those scales. He looks sharp. He's never going to have, you know, the ultimate six-pack, but that's not what it's about. Six-packs don't win world titles. Strategy, boxing, footwork, the whole thing, it's bravery. Those are the things that make a champion. And I think it's going to be a hell of a night in October. So I don't want to really push too much on that, because I want to do a special night on Fury Klitschko, and that will be coming soon. But share with you all, because so much has been going on in the last week or so. Those of you who have been watching Bayloric and have watched the interviews, first of all, thank you so much. The responses we're getting, whether it be on the actual show that we do on a Thursday night with myself, Adam Forsey, special guest with Jason Gavin now as one of our pundits, and Dave Allen, plus Boxing Gossip, Chris Golding, and Lee Keevan. Got to thank these guys for being there consistently week in, week out. And thank you so much for being a part of that. And of course, Louis Gavin as well, give him a shout as well. So yeah, just thank you to you guys for that. As always, I've got to, apart from saying thank you, when you see these shows, and you see the videos, you see the interviews, please share them on your wall, share them over your Twitter feed. If you're doing it already, thank you so much. Tell somebody else about the show, tell somebody else about the interview, let them know about it, you know, and tell them why you tune in. Why do you tune in and watch? You know, is it for me to make some catastrophic prediction? Is it for me to give you the latest gossip? Is it to hear my views in boxing? You know, so that's it. Thank you so much. And check out our website for specifically for the boxing and for the boxing community, which is the Bayloric World TV Sports blog. That's a website which is basically connected with America, and it's very good because, you know, it gets a bit more exposure out there and puts some box as well. So I'm kind of happy to be a part of that. So also look out tomorrow. I will be doing a special with In This Corner with Mike Mittman. Love the podcast, working with those guys. Experienced Mike Mittman, has been in the game for many years. Was a commentator, you know, when pay-per-view and satellite TV first came out. He was doing commentary then, sitting beside the great Larry Holmes, doing lots of commentary. So to have somebody's experience like that invite me on the show and to continue doing work with them in America and Philly, that's amazing, and I appreciate that. So there's lots to talk to you about. I think I've got to talk to the things that are relevant in terms of in the last few hours, boxing news coming through, and I'll take you to that first before we go back reviewing Mosley and Mayorga, because if I do that, then I'm going to forget about all the things that I really need to tell you about. So where do we begin on this journey? Let me refresh my page so that I can ensure that I'm not missing out on you guys and making sure that I address everybody that comes into the room and ensure that I don't miss a trick with anybody that's in the room. That thing obviously really need to tell you about. So let's see. Okay, let's make sure. Remember, this is your show as well. Chime in wherever you want to say something. You agree, you disagree. Please feel free to chime in. So, what am I going to talk to you guys about? Well, first and foremost, announcements. First announcement: Timothy Bradley is now split with Joel Diaz. Coming out, breaking news coming out of America. Timothy Bradley has split with Joel Diaz. Now, obviously, I don't know why the split is. It's been with Joel Diaz for years. The fact that he's now split with him, I guess sometimes it's not a bad thing splitting, because you think, you know, you go to another trainer. If you go with the right trainer, he may take you on a little bit more, teach you a bit more, you know. So that's interesting news in itself. So Tim Bradley changing trainers. Don't know why. Eventually, it'll all come out in wash why Timothy Bradley has switched trainers. But it can be money. It can be, you know, feeling the fighter feeling stale. It can be it's time for both guys to part ways. I think they've reached as much as they can do together. Maybe the trainer says the fighter should do this. The fighter saying, I don't want to do that no more. Maybe Timothy Bradley wants to go in a different direction. I don't know. I'm not in America. I don't know. I'm just telling you the stuff that I'm hearing coming out of America, and it's been confirmed, reliable sources. So that's the first thing. So what can I say? Second thing is Manwar Shah, former or world title challenger, WBC, I think he's silver champion. He was at one point. Recently got brutally knocked out in one round. I mean, if you've seen the knockout, it was a brutal knockout, really brutal knockout. But in terms of Manwar Shah, he was shot while, from what I understand, eating a kebab. Well, that's what I heard. Again, I don't know how true that is, but he was definitely shot, I think several times to the stomach. Manwar Shah is in hospital recovering now. From what I understand, it was over a disagreement with who was the people? Just I think people connected with him. Lebanese, is it Lebanese? Maybe Lebanese, I'm not sure. But I think it was maybe some sort of cultural disagreement there with Shah and a group of people. It was obviously a disagreement for sure. But for them to get up a gun and shoot him, they obviously meant to cause some damage. And obviously, Manwar Shah's upset somebody. Who knows? You never know in boxing what it's about. You know, wrong place at the wrong time, a disagreement. You know, Shah getting knocked out around may not have been the plan. Who knows? Shah could be in debt to these people. He got knocked out in a round. I don't know. I can't say I'm in speculation, but that's happened. And obviously, I just wish the champ, Manwar Shah, speedy recovery, and hope that all goes well with him. And You know, obviously he had that devastating, you know, his career from where it was to where it is now. It's shocking how a guy can fall so quickly from where Shah was fighting Vitaly Klitschko at that end to now being sparked around by a guy that not a lot of people know about. It's pretty sad. More news. I don't know if you may or may not have caught on. Dave Allen, who's been doing lots of interviews with Bayloric Worldwide, one of my long-time supporters, Kyle D, has said that Dave Allen has had more interviews with me than he's actually had fights. And the second thing was Dave Allen had never, nobody's ever seen Dave Allen fight. Well, Kyle D, news for you now that Dave Allen's latest fight is on Bayloric TV. So check it out. His last fight, the last round, a stoppage victory in the third round. Breaking news today with Dave Allen. And by the way, I've got to say, Kyle D, nice touch. You did say keep up the good work to Dave Allen. So that was nice. Nice touch after all the banter you've been giving poor Dave. Okay, so let's move on from that point. What can I tell you? There's a fight. And Dave Allen is in that fight. And you, the boxing fans, can get to see it. Not after the event, but at the event. The date, October 24th. The venue, well, Sheffield. The card, Kell Brook. The title, Central Area. So, yeah, Dave Allen is in the Central Area fight, which is going to be on television. So there you go. You're going to get the first time to see the White Rhino live. I think it's good. I think Dave Allen's a good thing for the heavyweight division. He's a young prospect. He's got lots of character, lots of personality, great personality, and he's also a regular now with Bayloric TV on our boxing show, talk show every week. So that's fantastic news as well. So congratulations, Dave. I know it's been a tough 15 months for you, but Stiffy Bull has got you now a shot at the title, the area title. So let's see you win that title, put on a great show, and then get the British boxing talking about you. Let's see who we have. Oh, good evening, Chris Goulding. We have to send our best to man. We'll had it rough of late. No more dollars for him. Get well soon, indeed. Owen 09000 or 9000 says it was 5 rounds, not 1 round. Shah was knocked out in. Okay, well, I just saw 1 round. I guess it may have been 5 rounds, but I guess it was the knockout round. It looked like it was round 1, but it was a bad knockout. So my correction, Manuel Shah got sparked in 5 rounds, but that knockout was a bad knockout. Whether it was round 1 or round 5, it was a bad knockout. You know, fighters do come back from that, but never the same. Yeah. So what was I at? So Dave Allen has made his comeback. What else have I got to talk to you about? Yeah, let's talk about some of these interviews I've done. Eddie Chambers, another one of Team Fury, is back. September the 18th, he fights at Atlantic City. So Fast Eddie is back. It's great to see that Fast Eddie's back in the ring against a warm-up opponent. And then I believe after this warm-up opponent in Atlantic City, there'll be a big fight down the line. I'm happy to see guys like Eddie Chambers and Dave Allen, who've had a rough time of it, you know, getting themselves together in a position to be fighting. So that's fantastic news. Right, more news. This is news that probably won't break yet, but this is news I'm hearing. Portsmouth's Tony Oki is in a fight coming up against Jeff Lacey. Remember Jeff Lacey? That guy was meant to come over and knock out Joe Calzaghe. He's back, and he's going to be fighting Tony Oki. So the fight will be announced soon, so I've been told. So Tony Oki versus Jeff Lacey. I think that's going to be on a card that's going to have 2. I think they're both. Those 2 fights are going to be for the. I think for the WBU or WBF championship. and then there'll be a WBC championship fight on there as well. So that's 3 fights on that card. So that's interesting news. Tony Oki and Jeff Lacey. Yeah, of interest to see how that fight turns out. So where are we now? What have we got to talk about? Yes, Jerome Wilson, the gentleman who got knocked out and unfortunately went into a coma and had severe head injuries, and I've been featuring a lot on Bayloric TV, has got a book signing September the 12th at Waterstones in Sheffield, in the town centre. So if you can, get along to Sheffield. There's going to be a lot of the fighters there from Sheffield. They'll be there to support. Ryan Rhodes is going to be there. Clinton Woods is going to be there. Curtis Woodhouse is going to be there. There's a load of fighters that are going to be there. Probably a special guest will probably be there as well. Can go ahead and support Jerome Wilson by turn up to Sheffield. And if you can't turn up to Sheffield, check it out. The book is going to be available on Amazon. The book is called Wiped Out, with a question mark, Wiped Out. It's written by Jerome Wilson with the help of Mark Turley, who I recently interviewed. Mark Turley is a boxing journalist who has written his own book regarding boxing journeyman. So that's good news. It's interesting. Yeah. So next piece of news. Andy Lee Saunders, the fight is off. Now, if you remember what I said to you guys before, and girls, if you're watching, I talked about Billy Joe Saunders and what I'd been hearing in Ireland. A lot of the people I was hearing through the boxing realm. This is not just random people I was talking to in Ireland, because I live in Ireland, but actually boxing people in the know, reliable people in the know, said Billy Joe Saunders doesn't actually fancy the fight, but he likes the money he's getting for the fight. Now the fight's cancelled yet again. And I've got asked this question, Dick over the eye. Some would say, well, you know what? It's Billy Joe Saunders. Why would he do something like that? As somebody rightly said the other day, he took step aside money for 2 fights, 1 or 2 fights. So if he's in it for the money, I don't know. Step aside money. Who would Andy Lee be fighting now? A lot of people talking that Spike O'Sullivan would be a nice fight between him and Andy Lee. Would be a good fight. Spike O'Sullivan can punch, and he'll come to fight. Whether Spike O'Sullivan will take that fight, don't know. Chris Eubank Jr. would be another interesting fight to make against Andy Lee. Would that fight happen? Sorry for Andy Lee, you know, because he's had all these pullouts of fights. It's not, something's not connecting right. I don't know what the dots are. I'm not there. I don't know. I can only speculate, but something is not going to plan. You gotta set the fight up in Ireland, it cancels. You bring the fight to England, it's cancelled. It's off. Then Saunders is cancelled. Then Saunders comes up with an injury. But I heard the fight was cancelled before the injury. So I don't know what, giving misinformation. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not Frank Warren. I'm not Adam Booth. I know you know I'm not neither of those guys. Neither am I Andy Lee or Billy Joe Saunders. But the stuff I did say to you about Billy Joe Saunders, you kind of wonder if, what, when, how. I don't know. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. So let's move forward, or let's go backward, shall I say. So I think I've got all that stuff out of the way. I don't think I've got anything else I haven't covered in that area. Let's talk about the weekend. The two, we had Mayorga versus Mosley for the second fight. We had the face-off between Mosley and his girlfriend. And like I said before, if you can tell me it wasn't staged, then fine. But I've never seen, since I've been watching boxing face-offs, I've never seen a face-off where a boxer has his girlfriend standing right next to him. Never seen that. Sorry, but hey, maybe it's the first time for me. You know, I'm not saying I've watched every boxing face-off. A few of my time, I've never seen a woman right next to his man like that. So I don't know. Was it all sort of set up. It seems so. The fight itself, both guys were chucking bombs. I have to say that I fell asleep before I even got round to see the fight. It was on like 3 o'clock in the morning, but it was so late. It was California time, 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, it's probably like my fourth, closer to 5 o'clock in the morning fight actually happened. So I kind of fell asleep and woke up the next morning and then watched the fight after. And I saw the punches chucked back and forth. And Mosley looked okay, and he stopped Mayorga with a body shot. Mayorga, you know, I'm not surprised, to be honest. You know, he gave it a go for X amount of rounds. And then, you know, as soon as Mosley hit him with a half decent shot to the body, didn't want to know anymore. He said, you know what? I've given it a show for 5 rounds. I think I'll pick up my money now before I actually get knocked out. I'll pick up my money. That's it. I've given a show for 5 rounds. That's enough. Like, he took the body shot and he went down. He went, yeah, I think at this point, I think it's enough. I've tried to knock Mosley out. I'm running out of gas. Although, you know, I might get knocked out soon. I don't want to get knocked out. You know, there might be a couple of fights to me, maybe down the line still. I gave a decent account of myself, so why not? I'll take the money. So it I've kind of got that thing with Mayorga. As for Shane Mosley, he's now called out Marquez. Now, this is fine because Marquez is fairly old as well. I think that's okay, and you get a chance to see what Mosley and Marquez may have looked like when they were younger. That's okay. That's fine. But there's always this disturbing feeling that when Kell Brook gets past Chavez, Sugar Shane Mosley is going to be around the corner. And I say this as to say as much. I don't think, in my humble opinion, that Kell Brook can stay with Eddie Hearn much longer. I think Kell Brook is going to have to make that jump over to America and join with Al Heyman. It's going to happen. I mean, unless he gets the Bradley fight, and that's one fight, what are you going to do after that? Clearly, Brook has to go and join Al Heyman, and by joining Al Heyman, he then has to put himself in the mix of the world title picture, you know, as a world champion, to fight fellow fighters such as Keith Thurman, Amir Khan, Sean Porter. Shall I keep calling out names? All majority of them welterweights. Any welterweight that means anything, Al Heyman's got them. So Kell Brook being the IBF champion really doesn't mean much if you're not getting the fight and not defending against decent opponents. So I really think that he's going to have to make the move over to Al Heyman or make some sort of partnership deal with Eddie Hearn. I think it's more likely that Brook moves over to Al Heyman. So now Admiral Mares versus Santa Cruz. I have to say, like I said, I didn't care about both guys, to be honest. One guy got chinned in around, and he definitely got chinned in around by Johnny Gonzalez. And the other guy has never looked spectacular in any fight I've seen him fighting. So it was like, I don't want to see this fight. Then I watched the replay. And I, ding, ding, round one. And these two guys kind of, they didn't like walk to one another or feel one another. They ran at one another like two caged lions that had just been pulled back, looking at one another and just been let go. It was like wind up, wind up, wind up, and let go. And it was just an explosive fight. Let's say this first and foremost. I know and I understand you like a punch up, you like a tear up, you like a back and forth. He throws 10 blows, you throw 10 blows, he gets rocked, you get that one guy gets rocked. I understand. I get it. It's exciting. But don't tell me. Don't then put in the same bracket of I love a tear up. I love watching tear ups. The same. These two guys are two of the best in the world because, or Cruz is some fantastic fighter. Because, you know, I would like to see Cruz use his jab, use the fact that he was taller, longer, use the jab, catch Admiral who's coming in, turn him, spin him, you know. But winning fight when he went to fight. But much too often, Abner Mares was on the chest of Cruz, and Cruz was fighting Abner Mares off him. And I just think to myself, Cruz is fine, but something like Nicholas Walters versus Cruz, for example. You're letting him get on your chest line. Something like Cruz is like Walters, for example. Big puncher, real big puncher, nasty puncher as well. I'm not convinced about Abner Mares. He's a good fighter, but I don't think it was anything great. Santa Cruz has to fight a real marquee name. And I'm not saying that. To either fight, for me, he should have fought Quigg, Frampton, Rigondeaux. They're the three fighters he should have fought. But he hasn't for whatever reason. So he fights a guy in Abner Mares that was not great, not fantastic, but there are issues with that. He needs to be fighting somebody of quality name for the guy that Cruz, Santa Cruz is. He needs to be fighting somebody of some note that yes, watch that. Let's watch him fight that. So I'll leave that to one side. Now, one of the things with PBC, I've said before, I've said it again. Chris Goulding says, the one drawback of the PBC is they have so many fighters, they're not getting enough dates for all. Bayloric favourite Julius Jackson has been lost in a shuffle. Indeed, he has been lost in a shuffle. There were rumours that he was going to be fighting in October, late September, early October. But, this is the problem. You haven't fought for so damn long, fighting consistently. And then you've joined a PBC. And then when you join PBC, what happens? You don't fight for a year. Surely, I don't care what you do in the gym. Surely, your skills, you then have to get the motor going again. Especially the guy that relies on reflexes and speed and movement and consistency. Boxing's about consistency. So I get the impression, that these guys that are on PBC, they'll get paid. I keep saying they'll get paid. But will they fight regularly? Will they? That is a big question. And that is hurting fighters at the moment. Julius Jackson fought for over a year. So, and while we talk about hasn't fought for over a year, George Groves is fighting Badou Jack. Pretty quiet, actually, that, he's fighting Badou Jack. It all seems kind of like, he fights what? Next weekend? Is it? I think it's next weekend. And there's no sort of clamour for it. He's fighting Badou Jack out in American. There's many questions. Groves has been out. The last time George Groves fought is when Tony Bellew fought Nathan Cleverly. Yeah, it's been that long. And I've seen Groves already. His face looks drawn already. His face looks drawn like he looks in great shape. But I don't know. He hasn't fought for a year. So, of course, he's been out in America and he's based himself out in America, which is fantastic. He's acclimatized. No worries with that. No problems with that. But here is what it is. Badou Jack has fought regularly. Groves hasn't. Speed, timing, movement. These are all things that Groves will need. A year out of the ring, struggling to make super middleweight. First 6 rounds of a fight, if you look at any of George Groves' fights, first 6 rounds of the fight, he's great. It's the second six rounds of the fight. It's a problem I've noticed. He seems to fade badly. And the Rebras fight, if you look at that, he started fading in that fight as well. And he hasn't looked great on the comeback. So my question is, how good will George Groves be on the night? Yes, he punches hard. And based on the way Badou Jack got knocked out, you could have a case in saying, yeah, well, if George catches Badou Jack early, he could knock him out. But if we look at the fight past 6 rounds and into the second half of the fight, this fight is in Las Vegas. in Las Vegas, let's remember. It's not anywhere else, but it's in Las Vegas. So that heat and humidity, I don't care how much you've done acclimatized training and all stuff, you're fighting in America, in Las Vegas. Is this going to play a big part in the way Groves, Badou Jack's fight turns out? And if Badou Jack were to upset George Groves and beat George Groves, where does George Groves go in the mix after that? Okay, George Groves wins the title. Where does he go from there? Who would he fight next? Smith and Rocky Fielding. They've got a fight coming up shortly. I suppose the winner of that could fight George Groves. DeGale, Groves too. Could it happen? DeGale's with Al Heyman. Groves with the Sauerlands. What's the relationship between the Sauerlands and Al Heyman like? You know, so there's lots of things to think about, but I wish Groves all the best in this fight. He's got Jack. I think he thinks it's an easy fight, but he also thinks that he could beat Carl Froch. So I don't know how much of that is delusion from Groves. He's a confident lad, but confidence and fact are two different things. His trainer, Paddy Fitzpatrick, don't know too much about, but since Fitzpatrick's been on board, I'm not sure the changes that were made, whether they are going to help Groves or hinder him. The George Groves that fought pre Carl Froch, I like that George Groves. In, out, slippery, landing right hands, slippery. Let's remember, let's take you back to then as well. Groves has been put down by Kenny Anderson, and he was badly hurt by Kenny Anderson, and got knocked out by Carl Froch. So Groves' chin is not the greatest in the world. And if you take into consideration Carl Froch, if you look at Carl Froch's career at world level, who does he knock spark out like that? He doesn't. He doesn't. Look at his career. Even with Jermaine Taylor. Jermaine Taylor had to be on his feet, gassing out. Boutte, he stopped Boutte on his feet. George Groves got knocked spark out. One of two things. George Groves' fitness, stamina is questionable, chin being questionable, and punishment. Can George Groves take it? He can dish it out, we know that, but can he take it? That's the question. That's the question. Okay, so as you know, I do like to find that information, and we're talking heavyweights now. Dominic and Dillian Whyte. Now, I wanted to find out from Dominic Gwynn his views on the fight and how the fight was going to turn out. And this was, I think, about 2 or 3 nights ago, and I contacted Mr. Gwynn and asked him if he'd like to do an interview. He said to me, yeah. He basically said that the fight's not on. I said, why is the fight not on? He said, because of money. They're not paying him enough money, so the fight's not on. So then I think I tweeted that the fight wasn't on because he said it wasn't on, and he said he'd do the interview in 2 hours. This is like 2:30 in the morning, so it was about 6:30 his time. Then at 8:30, when I came back to ask him to do the interview, he said to me, nah, I don't feel like doing the interview, and if you don't like it, you can delete me. I'm like, what? And next minute he blocks me off of Facebook. So think of that what you want. Maybe between the time that I tweeted that message out and the money's better. I don't know. But yeah, interesting. So if you're wondering what happened there, that's the story. Do you know, I get increasingly frustrated, boxing fans, when having to get interviews done with people. It's not easy. It's very difficult. And a lot of people ask, oh, how do you get this person's number? How do you get that person's number? How do you make this happen? How do you make that happen? A lot of hard work. And it can be, you send an email, You might not get a reply for 4 to 5 weeks, and then you get a reply. Or you send an email and they don't bother replying, which is, that's the worst one. When you send an email to them, they ask you to email them, you email them, and they haven't got the decency to even reply to your email. Or the one where you contact them via Twitter, they say they'll do an interview with you, then you email them the back and forth, and then you discover, oh, he doesn't do interviews, he doesn't do interviews with talking, or he doesn't do interviews with video interviews. So how else you do interviews? Oh, well, you can do a written interview. Why? You've seen what I do. I've sent you the links to all my videos. You've never ever seen me do a written interview. Why in the hell am I gonna start doing written interviews with you? You've seen. It's not like you haven't seen. It's not like you're blind. It's like you don't know. You know. Yet you still, I email you and you tell me about written interviews. Why do it? Just say you just don't want to do the interview. That's all you have to do. Simple. I don't want to do the interview. And let's move on. Waste my time. So it's increasingly frustrating when you have to deal with these things in boxing. Very frustrating, very annoying. And, you know, those who are in the know understand it's frustrating. It's annoying. It's deflating, frustrating. I get fed up of it. I really do. And I'm just glad that I'm so glad that, you know, boxing is not the only thing I have in my life. I love boxing. I could give so much more to the sport, but get very frustrated because for every, you know, great guy or great girl you get to get an interview with, there's always some person out there that feels that they're above board and feels that they, you know, they can do and say and do and treat you in the way very contemptuous. And then you look and wonder why their ticket sales are the way that they are. You wonder why, their careers are the way that they are, just the way that they behave and the way they conduct themselves. Very unprofessional. And I think that a lot more boxers need to look into marketing themselves and how they market themselves. You complain that you don't get tickets, you don't get people buying tickets off you. You complain that you know, you haven't got much of a fan base, but yet you're so damn lazy you can't be bothered to set up the things necessary to build a social media network. Facebook, Twitter, answer your emails, man. Answer your emails and engage with fans. Get on Twitter, engage with fans, start talking to fans. You know, that's why someone like Tyson Fury I've got the greatest respect for. I don't agree with everything Tyson does, but he certainly promotes himself. And a lot of people say, oh, he's this, he's that, he's this, but you're talking about him. Whether you like Tyson Fury or you hate Tyson Fury, you know about him. Whether you hate Floyd Mayweather or you love Floyd Mayweather. And I want to close on this point. And I'm kind of fed up of hearing people talk about Floyd Mayweather and I don't like his boxing style. I don't like his skills. I've said it before. Why say it? Because somebody's got to be paying for that pay-per-view. Somebody's got to be paying for the pay-per-view. Somebody's got to be sitting down watching that guy fight. Somebody's got to watch Mr. Mayweather fight. So, base people in boxing, which I can assure you, there's a lot of them around. But that's in life in general. Or he's robbing a bank. To me, sounds like there are a lot of people that like to talk about things and say things just to get on the bandwagon, but actually secretly like Floyd Mayweather and will pay the money. And we'll pay the money for this Berto fight as well. Watch and see. He'll probably get record sales for the Berto fight. And like I said before, this Berto fight, I don't know. I don't think it's the foregone conclusion that everybody's talking about. I really don't. I really don't. I think Berto gives Mayweather and Dan Pacquiao. But we'll see. We'll wait and see. I think that's about it from me. Is indeed 10 o'clock. Oh, just to finish up, did an interview with Galen Ross of Title Shot. It was an interesting interview. And you saw the clips to the movie, the film that they're trying to get out on Kickstarter. Check it out. The link is inside the interview, so check that out as well. Oh yeah, how can I not talk about Jason and talking about corruption in boxing. Check out that interview as well. Very, very revealing stuff with Jason Gavin. So brave man to have come out and said the things that he said. I think that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you watching the show, watching it afterwards. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments, but more importantly now, share the video. Share the video. Tell a friend about it. Okay? And don't forget, tomorrow night we've got our show. And don't forget tomorrow to catch me on In This Corner with Mike Commitment. This has been Ingram Jones from Bayloric TV. Thank you so much for your support. But I'm out of here. Have a good evening and a good night. I'll see you soon.